So my name's Kluit. I'm a Year 1 and 2 teacher at Flanshaw Road School. I'm also the team leader at that school for that year. I also run a STEAM project across 6 schools in West Auckland. So at the start of my STEAM journey, I struggled with what the concept of STEAM was. There wasn't very much information out there about it. There was heaps about STEM. So STEM came about from the lack of qualifications or interest in those areas in the workforce, particularly in America, and it was kind of concept made there. And so they were looking at kids coming out of high school with an interest in science, technology, engineering and maths, but as that kind of took off, they noticed there was a real lack of the arts in it, so they then broadened it out to STEAM. So to begin with, not much information there about STEAM. I looked at STEM, researched that big time, and then just started off with one-off sessions. Okay, so the best place to start is in a subject that you're comfortable with, that you feel that you can do a great job with, you know a lot of the curriculum knowledge already around it, and then trying to look for ways that integrate the other STEAM areas into it. So I started with art and maths because those are my 2 favourite subjects, and they fit quite nicely together through geometry and fractions, so I started that way. There's a really big misconception about STEAM being an extra. It's actually an integrated approach into your programming, so it really condenses down the different curriculum areas. At the moment, people still see curriculum areas being as singular, but it's really about integration. So it's about taking one activity and making the links to as many of those areas as possible. This is more about integrating, so you are halving your workload because you're not having to do separate sessions for different curriculum areas all the time. So STEAM doesn't actually just integrate into those 5 areas. You can actually integrate it into literacy really, really well. So reading and writing come into it really, really well. You can use writing as for instructions. There comes your coding. There comes in having to do a challenge. Writing about the many challenges or the experiences that you've had in different platforms. It's about everything. So you can integrate it more than just in those ways. It's all about finding lesson plans that are already out there. There is heaps. So finding those, running with those first, and then adapting them into your own plans. So quite often when I'm doing a unit plan, I actually Google, because Google is your best friend, STEAM activities, and then try and integrate them as much as possible into my unit plans. I also have a makerspace area where I've got lots of different activities that kids can pull out and do in their own time that link back to the different programs in my classroom. So I suggest starting off small. So I suggest starting off with one-off activities, or if it's robotics, one type of robot, starting with a small group. Maybe you might want to start a robotics group with a small number of children and going from there. I suggest with coding, using programs that already exist that teach kids to code, so you are taken away from that aspect. Once you feel quite comfortable with just doing that, I would actually let your kids self-discover. So posing, well, what can you get that robot to do? Or what can you get that coding program to do? Or how can we make a bridge that holds a certain amount of weight? And letting them self-discover and explore on their own. You don't have to be the answer for it. You're actually just facilitating and guiding them into it. So if they come across a problem, well, maybe you guys can figure it out together. So with digital technology, students are far more advanced than we give them credit for. So most of the time they are teaching the teachers how to use digital technology, or each other how to use it. And they will pick up skills very, very quickly because they already have the digital literacy behind them that will help them support themselves doing coding and robotics independently. So it is really about finding those connections. Like I said before, you can find connections in writing and reading. So especially with coding, coding's just a set of instructions. So you've got instructional writing in there, reading, read a set of instructions to make something. other digital technologies in there. You've got your general PowerPoints and things like that, Movie Maker, things like that. You've got iPads. They are easily to integrate into learning, and most teachers know how to do that. But with robotics, it is really, and coding, it is about finding those strong connections for things. They are there. You've just kind of, I think, have to know. And I think that comes with growth and knowledge of what you are doing. I don't think it's a tip that can be like that. Okay, so the benefits to students is you get higher engagement and motivation in STEAM learning. That then transfers into other areas of the curriculum. So they're excited about learning, they're excited about doing hands-on activities. Because you've got that motivation, you get a higher engagement, which then hopefully turns into better achievement. You also get the collaboration and the social skills happening, because most of the time with STEAM you're asking them to work in groups, so they develop the social resilience that goes along with working in a group. Emotional literacy, so that goes back to the resilience of trying to figure out how to solve a problem. So then on top of that you've got problem solving as well. So there's lots of things happening for students that give them skills to then apply in other areas. It's not about buying expensive equipment, it's about doing things on the cheap. And if you're talking budgets, you don't have to have a big budget. If you want the expensive flash stuff, you can go to trusts to get money. Ask your principal, they will know a lot about where you can get funding from to get things. There's also other ways of finding resources, so you can also get resources secondhand through asking parents for donations on materials. Recycling, upcycling, all of those things. Your classroom's a really good place to get resources. Most classrooms have popsicle sticks or straws or rubber bands, sellotape, cardboard boxes. Okay, so it's about them having freedom and a safe space to explore and self-discover what an object, a robot, whatever it is they're doing, can do. Find the area that you're passionate about, try and make a link to another STEAM area and go from there.